Hey guys, we're back again and we're going to talk about Unwrapping the Pharaohs, lesson number 7. It's the last of the three pyramids in the Giza Plateau. Remember, the Great Pyramid was Khufu's. It was the largest. The next one is Khafre's, and it was his son's. And it looks like it's the largest, but it's because it's built on a little higher elevation. And the last of the pyramids of those three in the Giza Plateau is the Pyramid of Menkaure. Okay, Menkaure followed Khafre, and he was the last of the great pyramid building pharaohs in Giza. However, his pyramid was the smallest of all the Giza pyramids. It's about a quarter of the size of his predecessors. The dimensions of his pyramid are 354 feet by 354 feet at its base, and it is only 203 feet tall, and had an angle of 51 degrees. However, even though it's the smallest, it has some unique features. It's not completely faced with white limestone. The lower 16 layers are red granite that are brought from Aswan, and it was not smooth, which indicates the masons started at the top, then worked their way down. Okay, so those are some of the interesting things. Also, the inside design is very different. The book says on page 56 that from the north side, a passage descends into bedrock, terminating in an antechamber. At the west end of this chamber is the king's tomb chamber, which is at a lower level and has a gabled roof, also of granite. The underside of these roofing blocks has been chiseled into the shape of an arc, on which has been painted the name Menkaure. The walls of the tomb chamber are also lined with granite. The tomb chamber is reached by steps leading down to the doorway. Menkaure must have been more of a family man than his predecessors, because on the way down there is another tomb chamber with 4 burial niches in it, presumably for his family members. We know a lot of this information from, of course, being excavated. And there was a man named Colonel Weiss, okay? And fortunately, he was able to discover some of these things, but unfortunately, he was a colleague of Belzoni. Remember Mr. Belzoni, fond of gunpowder? Colonel Weiss was also very fond of gunpowder. He blasted part of Khafre's Sphinx. So, the back of the hole, because he thought there was treasures or gems inside it, so he just blew a hole in it. But he also, this Colonel Weiss, is the one who excavated Menkaure's pyramid. Inside he found a beautiful basalt sarcophagus inside the tomb. As they did back in those time periods, before all the regulations, he's looking to make money, so he decides to send it back to England. So, carefully and with a lot of effort, he removes it, puts it on a ship, trying to send it back to England, but the ship sinks in the Atlantic just past the Straits of Gibraltar. Lost a lot of valuable things on that ship and things. However, there was some bones and a coffin with the name Menkaure that did make it and wound up in a British museum. So, as he's looking for his treasure, he's also exploring the pyramid grounds. And they found mortuary temples that were built with massive 200-ton limestone blocks. There's 4 statues, immaculate-looking statues, that are just smaller than life size. One of them is Menkaure, and he's flanked by goddesses, okay? So goddesses on either side of him. Also, there's a statue of Menkaure and his queen. And now Menkaure and his queen, Kamarenepti, who now are in the Boston Museum, okay? However, they only found 1 boat pit. They also found a large statue of Ramses II, who was, and that was just found recently. He was probably the last of the 4th dynasty, and probably why there were no more, pyramids built in this area. There may have been one more king in this area in the 4th dynasty, but we're not exactly sure, and like a lot of history, we're a little confused by some things. But his name was Shepseskaf. He chose to be buried, though, in a mastaba in Saqqara. And again, it questions, was he, truly part of the dynasty or not? But for whatever reason, he chooses to be buried in a mastaba in Saqqara. It's, though, a huge mastaba. It's 327 feet by 246 feet in area. It's faced with white Tura limestone, and the lowest portions of it are the red granite. There's a stone arch burial chamber, which is so very similar to the one that we just talked about with Khafre, or Menkaure's rather. And he also found a stone sarcophagus there of this Shepseskaf. So ultimately, though, we've talked about the three main pyramids and Giza, the ones that are iconic pyramids. When people talk about Egypt, they're there. So make sure you look at these chapters, read the chapters, and learn a little bit more. Thanks.